And just like that, we've got our first elimination, everybody. The Phoenix Suns have been eliminated in 4 games. A nice clean sweep by the Minnesota Timberwolves. As someone that lives in Minneapolis, man, not a Timberwolves fan myself, but it's awesome to see. It's awesome to see a new team get a win. It's been 20 years since the Timberwolves have actually gotten a playoff series win, but let's talk about the specifics of this game and all the rest of them. So overall, I thought this was a pretty awesome defensive game from both sides. Obviously, the Timberwolves getting the win at the end. Their defense was awesome. Especially in the first half, I thought both defenses were really, really good. The Timberwolves were obviously pressuring from like half court on. It was really awesome. They forced the Suns to pick up the ball. Like it felt like 6 or 7 times, like way out beyond the 3-point line, and they just couldn't get anything going offensively when that was happening. The Phoenix Suns, though, like their defense came more so like at the rim and trying to get into the paint, while the Timberwolves couldn't really like finish over them for whatever reason, even though they were so little out there. I mean, you guys can look at who they played in this game. I mean, Nurkic was the only size outside of Durant. Durant was playing the 5 for a majority of this game because Nurkic only got 20 minutes out there. But the Suns players did a really good job of like getting their hands like on the ball when the Timberwolves players were getting towards the paint. It was really cool to see. Great defense. Obviously, that kind of fell apart in the second half when both teams were just going nuclear from at least like shooting wise. They were just shooting from everywhere, really deep shots, contested shots. That was awesome, but really good defensive game. Looking at the Timberwolves though, and things that I saw in this game. Obviously, Anthony Edwards was awesome. In the first half, only had like 9 points, finished with like 31 in the second half, finished with 40, had that crazy dunk at the end of the game. Absolutely electric way to punch him home. Anthony Edwards is that dude. He's a superstar in this league already. Just hitting timely shot after timely shot over whatever defender they threw at him, because they threw a couple different guys on him in that fourth quarter, and it just didn't matter. He just kept being like, all right, I'm just going to walk you down here. I'm just going to wait, or I'm either going to blow by you and finish at the rim. He missed one dunk that would have been crazy off of 2 feet. His athleticism is crazy, but man, no, he was just getting it done. And Karl Anthony Towns was just a spot up master, just hitting every single jump shot he could. The only real shots that it felt like he was missing were some at the rim, but I liked what the Timberwolves were doing this whole series, where they were getting him some high post touches where they're like, okay, you can just go ISO. Like, and I'm not a big like ISO guy, but I like the idea that you're like, okay, Karl Anthony Towns, we're keeping you involved, right? We're going to keep you involved no matter what. You can go get your ISO plays, go get whatever shot you need to go get. It's keeping him like motivated on the defensive end. It looks like it's translating because he's like, okay, I'm in this game. I'm playing this game. I'm doing this thing out here. So great to see Karl Anthony Towns doing that. Jaden McDaniels, very effective player. Honestly, like missed a couple bunnies in this game. The whole Timberwolves team was just missing bunnies at one point. Nickeil Alexander-Walker missed a couple. Kyle Anderson missed a couple. Gobert missed a ton of them, and yeah, McDaniels missed a couple of them as well. Like, for whatever reason, they just couldn't finish around the rim, even though like the biggest guy out there was Durant, and he only, I think, had 1 block on the night and wasn't really jumping for many more. Oh, he had 4 blocks? My bad. Well, at the very least, it didn't seem like he was really going up and contesting too many of them, but regardless, like, there was just a lot of opportunities that the Timberwolves just missed point blank, so honestly, this game probably could have been worse, and that was my thought going into, like, halftime of this game. Like, even though the Suns had the lead and everything, I was like, honestly, the Timberwolves just missed some bunnies and everything, man. Like, it feels like they kind of have this game, but needless to say, Timberwolves looked really, really good. Gobert was an interesting one last night. Gobert was really good defensively. Really, really good defensively. Offensively, pretty bad game for him. Just needs to be better in that sense. I can't tell you how many times he got like Bradley Beal or Devin Booker switched on to him, and I don't think he made them pay once, and that's just not okay when you're that big. We know that Gobert's not the most coordinated in the world. This is why guys like Victor Wembanyama are so special, right? Like, you need to be able to just like back it down and throw the ball over like a 6'3" guy. You just have to be able to do that, and he wasn't even like catching a lot of balls last night, so that's just a thing for them. But the Suns, Devin Booker was awesome, Kevin Durant was awesome, Bradley Beal probably played the worst game I've ever seen him play in his NBA career, and I just felt so bad for him because I like Bradley Beal a lot. Like, it's just you root for him, but man, that was a rough game. It was a really rough game. From 4 for 13 shooting, he had 6 turnovers. He fouled out of the game. Like, it just felt like he was just missing shot after shot and just turning the ball over and over again. And that last foul, you could just tell he was done. He's like, no, I'm going to the bench. This game's done. I don't want to play in this game anymore. And look, we all have days like that. We do. And it's tough that it came in this situation, because as a player, you don't get to just come back the next day then and try to make up for it. So you go into the off season like that. It's just that's a horrible feeling, and you have to imagine he's like, okay, I really got to hit it this summer, right? Like, I got to get better. I got to do this. I got to do that. But it's not like it was Bradley Beal's fault at the end of the day. This team just, it wasn't good enough. I picked the Suns to win this series. Not correct at all. I think a lot of us picked the Suns to win this series, but nope, absolutely wrong. The mid-range shooting was not enough. They couldn't get enough three-pointers up. They just didn't have the supporting cast. They were just overall too little for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like, they got to the point where they're like, okay, we just can't even play Drew Eubanks. He's just not good enough, and that's probably honestly fair. I do think Josh Okogie should have gotten more minutes throughout the series. Like, I don't know exactly like where he plays. Like, I feel like he plays like an undersized 4 or something like that, so Durant can play like a 3. That's just my observation of it, but at the end of the day, the Timberwolves are such a big team that they just struggled on the rebounding end. Like, they couldn't protect the paint very well, so it was just a struggle for them. I felt like Royce O'Neal was kind of a non-factor throughout most of this series. Eric Gordon, how many times are we going to watch him catch these like really deep threes, like out kind of near the, maybe a step in front of the coach's hash, and chuck those up and miss them? And like, I don't know why. Like, I like Eric Gordon as a player, like I do, but I feel like he misses more open threes out of like any 3-point specialist than anybody else out there. And then he even had Nasir Little come in points in this game. And then when you got Nasir Little in, and I know Vogel's coaching for his job and everything, he's like, I got to try something. And I'm not throwing Thad or, you know what? I would have at least tried Thaddeus Young. I would have at least tried it over Nasir Little. Maybe, I don't know what Thaddeus Young's like, I guess, like body looks like and everything right now. Maybe he's just too worn down, but I would have at least tried Thad Young over Nasir Little. But, you know, is what it is at the end of the day. I'm going to assume Vogel's gone. I'm going to put out a video later today talking about the Suns and what they can do in the offseason and everything, so be on the lookout for that. Make sure you subscribe, comment, do all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. But I would have to imagine that Vogel's going to be gone. I don't think he did a great job this year, and I know that it was a complicated season for them. I do, and we'll talk about that. But nah, I just don't think that's it. But shout out the Timberwolves, man. They get a little bit of a rest, and I hope Finch is okay. It sounds like he might have torn his patella or whatever. So that is just unfortunate to see. But hey, get my man a chair, right? All right, Clippers Dallas. This game ended up being pretty solid. So this game got out of hand pretty quick, and then I ended up going and doing a Twitch stream with a bunch of other Twitch streamers. So you guys should go follow me on Twitch and everything. I do Twitch streams 3 times a week, and I ended up doing a little creator collab for this one. So the game was on in the background for me, and it was when the game was out of hand, and the Clippers were just hitting everything, and the Dallas Mavericks couldn't get anything going. But then as soon as I started watching, the Dallas Mavericks climbed their way back in, like Derrick Jones Jr. Great game, just being a spacer, getting to the hoop, doing good things like this. PJ Washington, I feel like he's always contributing well. I love it. The Dallas Mavericks did this thing again, though, where they don't play their bigs. Why do they keep doing this? Like, this is where I start to question Jason Kidd a little bit. I want to think Jason Kidd's a good coach, but there's just things in the rotation that don't make any sense to me. Josh Green was so good for you last game. Why did he only get 13 minutes this time? Why did Daniel Gafford only get 18 minutes? Why does Derek Lively only have 17 minutes? Why does Maxi Kleber get 21, though? Make it make sense to me. Like, Maxi Kleber was a negative 10 on the day. It's just, like, look, positive 4 here for Lively. You could have played him a little bit more. Like, and I'm not saying the plus minus is the only thing you can think about, but the team is better with Gafford and Lively on the court. Like, those two are the answers. You need those two on the court at all times. I'm going to skip to like the end of the game where James Harden just kept doing the same thing where he just kept isoing and then going and getting his little floater up and everything. And Doris Burke was like, that's kind of a tough shot. And I love Doris Burke. But I was like, Doris, this is a super easy shot. This is so routine. And James Harden's been doing this over his entire career. No, that's not very difficult. And Maxi Kleber is just like holding on to the Zubats or whatever big man is in. It's either him or Plumlee at the time, and not contesting like the floater at all, and not getting a hand up because they don't want the alley-oop to go there, when you had guys like Derrick Jones Jr. coming down and helping and tagging to make sure that didn't happen. Like, why was Maxi Kleber in at that point? I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. Like, you need to play Gafford and you need to play Lively at the center. Like, Maxi Kleber can get some minutes as like a 4 or something like that. Maybe you go some stretch 5 minutes for a little bit, but Gafford needs a lot more minutes. Lively needs a lot more minutes. And Josh Green needs to play more. He's so energetic, and he does all the little things for you to win. You need to treat him as like a TJ McConnell type, except he's actually like a little more skilled. I know he didn't make any shots in this one, but like you need to have him out there more so he can have those impactful stretches. So Jason Kidd, you're very much confusing me right now. As for the Clippers, though, Kawhi's out again. what's going on with them? Like, I feel like this is a question we ask ourselves every other year. What's going on with Kawhi Leonard, right? So, and we just will never know. We'll never know. But shout out James Harden putting on kind of a vintage performance again, especially in the takeover times. Absolutely nuts. I thought Paul George's defense was elite as always. He was out there doing his thing, hit some real timely shots there at the end. Had a couple too many turnovers today, but that was just kind of is what it is. Let's shout out the Clippers defense though. Like throughout the game, like I've never seen Kyrie Irving get like stripped so many times. Like, and that's, I'm not even like trying to hate on Kyrie. Like that's just an incredibly hard thing to do. Like Luka Doncic as well, when he was going to the hoop, like they were just getting hand on ball, like people poking from behind, like little things that you see in street ball happen a ton. Things that I do when I'm being lazy on defense in street ball, where I just let someone go by and then I poke it out from behind them because the average basketball player doesn't know what to do about that. But yeah, no, overall Clippers really got it done there at the end of the game. If I can talk about some of the supplementary pieces though, I'm getting a little bit concerned about them. Like Amir Coffey doesn't look like he can really get comfortable out there. Like he just kind of looks like he's floating at all times. Terrence Mann looks like he's trying to like fight the Dallas Mavericks more than beat the Dallas Mavericks right now, and I feel like it's kind of affecting his play. And Russell Westbrook's starting to scare me a little bit. He looks like he's trying to play a little more hero ball again. Like I feel like he's getting away from that role player mentality, and he's going back to doing that thing where it's like, okay, like I'm gonna get these shots. I'm Russell Westbrook. Like I can do it, and I love Westbrook. Like I do. I've just always kind of had the opinion that he doesn't always help in winning basketball games, and I feel like he's kind of itching back towards that, and I feel like we got to start correcting him on that again to be like, hey man, just go out there, be the backup point guard that's extremely defensively talented, can push the ball in transition, makes good passes, things like that. Like we don't need you taking like all these jump shots and taking on like 3 people going to the rack. Just doesn't need to be that complicated. But yeah, I know the ending of this series should be interesting, man. We got it 2-2 right now. Harden and Paul George are cooking. Who knows what's going to happen with Kawhi Leonard? Kyrie and Luka are cooking. So you kind of got 2 superstars apiece, man. What's going to happen with these teams? Hard to say. Alrighty, next series, we got the Knicks and the Sixers, man. And is this one ever fun to watch? If anything, just from a fan's perspective, all you Knicks and Philly fans, man, y'all are wild. But let's talk about the Knicks. I love Jalen Brunson so much. He's so much fun to watch. I'm glad that he's finally like just going at it. And honestly, it feels like Philly's like leaning off him a little bit in large part because Josh Hart was killing them so much in the first couple games. And so Hart still got some open looks, didn't contribute quite as much, but in the name of Kobe Bryant, if you're not going to hit any shots, you better have all the rebounds, and that's exactly what he did. No Mitchell Robinson. He's like, I'm going to get every rebound, and I love that out of Josh Hart. Such a good complimentary player to have. OG Anunoby wasn't hitting his threes last night, but he was getting to the rack, and he was being aggressive. Love to see stuff like that. Hartenstein, not quite as impactful as always, which is interesting to see. Am I really concerned about it all that much? No. I still felt like he brought like some good energy in his time on the court, so that's awesome. DiVincenzo's still struggling a bit from 3, but yeah, Jalen Brunson was awesome. Miles McBride was also awesome. Basically, whenever Brunson came out and McBride came in, McBride just kept the momentum going, and that's what really like ultimately kept the Knicks like ahead in this game. Bojan went down early in the game, which was tough, and you know, Thibs being Thibs was like, well, one of my players went down. Looks like everyone else has got to play that much more. So Precious Achiuwa, you're getting 20 minutes. Miles, you're getting 26 minutes. OG's playing 46. You're my new Luol Deng. So, hey, man, I appreciate it. But yeah, no, Jalen Brunson was just absolutely electric. Dissected the Sixers defense all night. It didn't matter if Joel Embiid was in front of him. He's like, nope, still just going to flip this right here over you. And it was absolutely awesome to watch. But let's talk about the Sixers, though. Kelly Oubre, at least, was contributing on offense again. This is like 2 games in a row that we've seen him start to contribute a little bit more. So that's awesome. Tobias Harris cannot get it going, though. He cannot get it going, and it is unfortunate to see, because Tobias Harris is a good player. We know he's a good player, but just can't get it going. They're leaving him open from 3, and he only took 1 3 the whole game. Like, what's going on? It seems like almost like the Sixers players were avoiding getting him the ball at one point, and that can't be the case. You got to keep giving him the ball because you need Tobias Harris to win this series. Embiid, while he was very effective, still missed a lot of shots, just wasn't quite as, we'll say, aggressive at getting to the rim as maybe he was in previous games, so that one was tough. Kyle Lowry couldn't really hit his shot last night, but, you know, he's out there to be a leader, right? He's out there to be a leader. He's out there to be a defensive presence. That's awesome. Maxey wasn't quite hitting that much either, so just kind of a game from the Sixers, but, like, yet the game was close, right? Like, and that's the thing, their defense was good, like, except on Brunson, like, right? That's really it. And like Miles McBride, who was just hitting some tough shots that, like, I don't think they're all too worried about guarding Miles McBride at the end of the day. I think they're just gonna take their chances with him most nights, but they couldn't quite get it going. Nick Batum still can't get anything going. DeAnthony Melton made a surprise appearance, which was interesting to see. I was kind of like, oh, D'Anthony Melton is here now? That's awesome. For those of you that don't know, he's a pretty good 3-and-D player. He's a little bit undersized, though, and I think that's kind of where it hurts them because they can't finish over the top of the length of the New York Knicks. And so I'll say it again. Can we play Buddy Hield? I want to know what's going on with this situation. Like, Buddy Hield was like a starter for this team like not too long ago, and now he just doesn't play? Like, Buddy Hield's a good NBA player. What are we doing with this guy? Like, you're telling me Cam Payne gets 13 minutes and Buddy Hield gets none? I just make it make sense, Nick Nurse. I really can't comprehend it. But no, very good defensive matchup at the end of the day. Both teams made it real difficult to finish around the rim. At the end of the day, the Knicks have Jalen Brunson, and that was the difference. So there you go, Knicks Philly fans. Can the Philly come back and win one more game? I think they could. I don't see why Philly can't still win this series and everything. Like, in all honesty, I truly believe that. That's the power of Joel Embiid. I think you need to get a little more size on the court, and I think Buddy Hield should be playing more, so that's just my 2 cents. All right, and then Bucks Pacers. I don't even know if you can call this Bucks Pacers. This is like depleted NBA roster versus best offense in the NBA, so call that as you will. But obviously no Giannis, no Dame. Very unfortunate to see. You don't like to see teams get like so banged up and everything, but Chris Middleton tried his best to be the superhero again. Still finished with 25 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Absolutely incredible. Didn't hit a 3 in this one. And Bobby Portis, just a dumb play. Like, I love Bobby Portis, I really do, but that was so stupid to get yourself thrown out of that game and everything. And like, he deserves to get thrown out of the game, right? Like, he swung on somebody. That's what's going to happen, right? And like, when you're depleted from Giannis and Dame, and you know how important you are to this team, you can't be doing stuff like that. That's just too childish. You're too old for that shit. Brook Lopez was looking like Brooklyn Nets Brook Lopez. That was really cool to see, but unfortunately, because he was looking like Brooklyn Nets Brook Lopez, he cannot guard anybody right now. And what I mean by that is he can't guard Miles Turner. Miles Turner has the complete counter to him because Brook Lopez will not step out and guard him, and Miles Turner is just attacking him now, like, in a new way. Because he's like, you know what? He's like, this guy can't guard me at all. Now I'm just going to go punch it on you. I think that was the picture up here. Yeah, no, just absolutely went and bodied him. And so Miles Turner just absolutely has Brook Lopez's number. Brook Lopez needs to step out and guard him, or they need to put someone else on him, right? Like, a decision needs to be made here. But hey, Doc, at least you played Andre Jackson Jr. some minutes and some decent things happened. So I was happy to see that. He had 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 6 points. What a surprise. But here's the thing. You're playing too many of these like little wings. AJ Green doesn't need 21 minutes. He doesn't need 21 minutes. Give him to someone else. Shrink the rotation down if you need to, right? Like, I understand Gallinari has to play in this game now because Portis is down. Give more minutes to him. You can just play Connaughton and Jackson off the bench. That's fine. Like, you can give more minutes somewhere else, right? You don't need AJ Green out there. Like, sorry, AJ Green, like, cool player and everything. I'd rather have Jackson Jr. or Pat Connaughton out there. I just would. And I felt like in this game, Doc, this is where we saw the lack of, like, adjustments being made. The Indiana Pacers did the thing that I say coaches don't do enough, where they're like, we're just going to keep running the same play until you stop it. Whether it's the Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam pick and roll with Miles Turner in the opposite corner, where he can just hit that shot over and over again, or Pascal Siakam is dissecting, whether it's like Gallinari or Brook Lopez and just getting to the rack, right? Like Tyrese Halliburton's facilitating the whole thing, or they were just doing this thing with Andrew Nembhard where they were just running the staggered double screen like early in the possession, and he just walked to the rim like 3 times in a row, and it was like, are we not going to figure this out? Like, honestly, that's on the players a little bit too, but holy cow, like what is going on out there? And so I think now the criticism of Doc Rivers, it's time to come out a little bit. Like, I understand that there's no Dame and there's no Giannis, but still, like, we need to make some adjustments and we need to figure some things out. And it just doesn't look like they have any idea as to what they're going to do with this. And like, I don't know. I don't want to put it all in like rotation and things like that, but there just needs to be some adjustments. You need to figure some things out. And I don't know. At least I played Malik Beasley again, so that's awesome. Malik Beasley is an impactful player, so you got to play him. As for the Pacers, we already talked about their offense. It was awesome. Let's shout out Andrew Nembhard, though. A guy that seems to be blossoming in front of our eyes. It felt like that was one of those games last night where it just kind of was clicking for him. He was playing with so much pace, and he was just kind of like controlling the game at a lot of points. Like, he took some real tough shots, and he also was just running the offense whenever Halliburton wasn't in. I just really like to see it, right? Like, he wasn't just kind of running around like a chicken with his head cut off, but he played with pace, got to like the middle of the court, was patient. It looked like it was finally starting to click for the young fella. So good for Andrew Nembhard. I know he's been good like outside of this series and everything for points, but it just felt like that was kind of a turning point for his career last night, where he's like, okay, I'm starting to get this thing a little bit now. And, Pascal Siakam played 40 minutes, didn't have to do a whole bunch, but was really impactful defensively. That's awesome. Glad to see Obi Toppin really doing some things. TJ McConnell got the crowd going, took a lot more shots than I'm sure he kind of figured he was going to, but they kept leaving him open. So I don't really know what to do about that. And then Ben Shepherd was still out there. That's cool. He got 8 points in 14 minutes. I'd still rather have Doug McDermott out there. But, I'll make my case for that every single week, I'm sure. But no, overall, Pacers played fine. They probably could have won by more. The Bucks kept trying to get it closer, but no Dame, no Giannis. That's what's going to happen, man. So if they're not back for the next game, that might be nighty night for old Milwaukee, and that would be the weirdest season of basketball I would have ever seen, in all honesty. So you know what? That's it for Sunday's games and everything. Make sure you guys subscribe, leave a comment, all those things, and we will talk to you guys later.